everyone, I'm Rajeshri. A very warm welcome to you all in today's episode, the first episode in the year 2023. Wishing you all a wonderful new year and a musically rich one as well. As I always think, our life is just like a song, so why not add few beautiful melodies to the soundtrack of 2023? On that note, as you all can see that today we are still with the German composer, great pianist, composer, organist, Felix Mendelssohn. And initially I thought that this whole episode will be based on a collection composed by Mendelssohn called Songs Without Words. But as one of my favorite pianists of 21st century, James Rhodes, says, that classical music is like a beautiful butterfly. You cannot hide it inside your hat. You kind of fly along with it. It's so beautiful. So, though my initial plan was that, but that butterfly took me to a global ride. And I had to incorporate other composers' pieces of music. Now, talking about songs without words, why did I choose it? Whenever I sit down to play my piano, I always felt as soon as I press the first note, we start a conversation. It can be a question or a simple conversation starter. And then when I press the next note, it's kind of a reply coming back from the piano. Sometimes whilst playing, we give a pause. In pianistic language, we call it a rest. But in our normal day-to-day conversation, we do sometimes just have a little bit of silence in our conversation. That's the way it flows. And I have discussed it with my wonderful piano teacher, Mr. James Billingham, who himself is a finest pianist. And James kind of agreed with me. But to be honest with you all, I haven't come across a musical piece which inspired me enough to compose something particularly based on this topic. And I was going through Mendelssohn's works and I have come across this title, Songs Without Words. Straight away I understood. I found my answer, what I was looking for so long. And it's a 8-volume collection. 6 volumes were published whilst he was alive, and the last 2 were published after his death. And among those 6 volumes, 5 volumes were dedicated to the daughters of the amateur pianists of his patrons. And one of those volumes it was dedicated to Clara Schumann, the most popular and talented female pianist of Romantic era. So, coming to Songs Without Words, what Mendelssohn really thought about this collection. He said, quote, "Words seem so ambiguous, so vague, so subject to misunderstanding when compared with true music, which fills the soul with 1,000 better things than words." And I can't agree with him more. And I found my answer. Yes, the conversation I have with my piano, any pianist with his or her piano, or any musician with their musical instrument, exactly what he was trying to say. And then, as I have mentioned, that James Rhodes, one of my most favorite pianists, James Rhodes said about classical music once, quote, "It provides company where there is none, understanding where there is confusion, comfort where there is distress, and sheer unpolluted energy where there is hollow shell of brokenness and fatigue. It is a choice of drug with no side effects at all. It is the answer to all the answerable." So Mendelssohn said this in 19th century. James Rhodes is singing from the same hymn sheet in 21st century. Ian Foster once said, "Classical music is a language that we don't know that we are fluent in." It's so true. And a couple of days ago, I was reading a book. The book is by Richard Smyth, and it's called A Sweet Wild Note, What We Hear When Birds Sing. Yes, bird song. Have we ever thought about it? It is so dear to all of us. But do we know the language? We don't know their language. What is a nightingale? Paraphrasing from his book. Nightingale is not a 21 grams of blood, flesh, bone and feathers. No. It is a human idea, quote. It's a thesis. It's a poem. It's a mood board. It's a spider diagram. It's a song. It's a symphony. We all build our own nightingale. The stuff from the poetry side and the stuff from the science side together, we create the nightingale nest. One of the sweetest sounds of the planet Earth. None of us understand the lyrics, not even a single word. But it is the soundtrack to the world, woven into our culture, emotions, landscape, dreams, our desires for millennia. So, when I was doing my research in Pianist magazine, volume 67, the guest writer wrote a line that the title, Sounds Without Words, it causes outright confusion. It is true, because by definition, songs means music with words. But now, after listening to the different views of different people, and they are the very talented musicians, composers of this world, they all felt the same. So I chose one of the musical pieces as my inspiration. And as always, though we have stepped into 2023, my style remained the same. I done it in a quite experimental way, so I have improvised it. And this particular piece called Regrets. But to be honest with you all, I have no regrets of choosing it. Mendelssohn's this collection actually is quite controversial among the music critics as well, because some music critics thought that it is very soft, it is very feminine, it's for home, it's not for the concert hall, it's not masculine, it's not professional enough. But Lucy Barham, she is one of the contributors of the Pianist magazine. She said that each of these musical piece is actually like a masterpiece. And as a pianist, you can actually name the way you want. And that is a huge freedom. And that makes it very popular among the middle class of Europe at that time. And that was the time almost every household, middle class household, had a piano. But it didn't stop there, because 1842, Mendelssohn visited England. He went to Buckingham Palace and he actually dedicated the duet arrangements of few of these pieces to the piano playing couple, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. And they really enjoyed playing it. And coming to the future generation pianist, composer, among them, quite a few of them actually adopted this genre. And I have taken my inspiration from one of them as well. He is the French pianist, organist, composer, very talented, Gabriel Fauré. When Fauré was just, I think, very young, he was a student in 1863, he actually wrote 3 pieces called Romance Without Words. But all these pieces, they got published in the year 1880. If we are talking about 1880, in Paris, avant-garde movement has already started. All the artists, they were ready for a change. And I always say the best way this avant-garde movement is described by Leonard Bernstein, according to me. He said, quote, that the gates of chromaticism has been flung open. The golden gates of the golden age, which is the outer limit of ambiguity. Where music was concerned, the new freedom affected the formal structure, the harmonic procedures, instrumental color, melody, and rhythm. More and more harmonic series were taking on an independence of their own, playing hide and seek with their sober, diatonic elders. How beautifully said. So that was the picture in Paris. I'm sitting at the moment in England, and it is the midwinter outside. So in the morning when I open the window, sometimes it is Monet's painting right in front of me. So I thought, why not incorporate something in the composition fitting with the nature outside? And then who did I go to? None other than Claude Debussy, the revolutionary symbolist, pianist, composer, and one of the most talented artists I've ever come across. So I actually took my inspiration from one of Debussy's nocturnes. It was written, his nocturnes were written between 1892 and 1899. But in 1889, Paris Exposition happened there. And it is one of the world's biggest fair where arts from all over the world were exhibited. And Debussy and Debussy's friends, who were all ready for a change, as Leonard Bernstein says, that there is a delicious vagueness in the air in terms of art. Mallarmé's poem, Monet's painting, you name it. So they got inspired by the Javanese music gamelan style. And when I was working on my composition, I just thought that let me go to the East. Let me see what was happening there. As I said, that butterfly, that beautiful butterfly, never let me take a bit of rest. I was flying with it. When there is the avant-garde movement started in West, East was kind of soaked in beautiful melodies, rhythm, etc., etc. So I took my inspiration from one of my very favorite poet, songwriter, music composer, Nobel laureate Tagore. Because Tagore visited England and Europe twice by that time. And he went back, and in 1897 he wrote one of his most melodious and romantic song and composed the music for it. I have put the name of the song and a bit of its description in the description box. So I actually kind of borrowed that tune in a little improvised way to make the frame of this musical painting. But this journey is quite challenging because this journey started in 1829 in the Romantic era of Western classical music. And I took the flight with the beautiful butterfly, and this journey ended in the East, the land of Tagore's work, which kind of, we always say, he actually created world music. So I wouldn't have been able to do this challenging job by myself. And the person who helped me to do this job is none other than, again, James Billingham, my piano teacher. He kind of guided me through the path I should be taking, because I don't have that much of knowledge of Western classical music to even try to try something like this. So without his help and guidance, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I'll go ahead and play it for all of you, and let's see what you all think about it. Thanks very much for listening. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for listening.